kalau penjari ya kaain sispa sau pusau section 144 bangin empla ban late satai support secretariat bat nila bandrung tangado arspa mitar shuwa poi katay kamin secretariat ngidai ban buram ya kaan namar bangi kidai Rangbah mangi kibla he kibla san kibla tip ya kaan ka kanon isode ba ngin buram ya kata kaan ngimdai ba jele persya te nang ni ngilaban lek tang hadu hang tay hapo office jong ka PWD lani katugalat kaban no siapa kiting road bat ndang gilapoy hang tu ngilajit laipong wat kinong mikmat kinong kitkam jong ka sunjuk bay nginlay ya Kynduh yaw chief minister bat ki cabinet colleagues ki jong u namar ulakot yang i pan ya Kynduh pan ya Jingkren hapo gitu ki mat kibangila diman bat kani ke jingkot ke jong u kalong bay pan ya Jingkren agindu ki isu kiba ngilabu hakmat jong u bat hakmat jong ke sarkar te ngin ya Jingkren nang te bay ngim num la panong kinyang ko ngo bau nong em ngin thao no da ko committee em ngin thao no da ka sub committee lani ai por ngim num ko ngo dalay leiro te ngin taladep nang teiro ngin wan sini sapi ngin ya thuo ya pi ka ai ka bang ya Jingkren bat menteri Rangbah bat ki menteri sarkar kebadan hang te ngin ban pensutu ban pensai ya ka ai ka bang ya Jingkren hang te
very upset. I want to tell that before the entrance to this main secretariat, there is a little bit of harassment to us because we have been searched from head to foot before entering the main secretariat. We are responsible people. We are the Rangbah Shnong. The villagers and supporters support us. Today we are 50,000 people there waiting for us. So I would like that this meeting should be over within 1 hour. We have submitted the memorandum. I think we will go as per the memorandum, and we would like to finish points by points the memorandum which we have submitted and take it to its logical conclusion. So, in order that we can finish in 1 hour, we'll start first with the first point, that is the village administration bill. There has been an undue delay of the passage of this bill because the office of the governor has not given an assent to this bill till date. I would squarely blame on the government for this casual handling and casual attitude of not taking this village administration bill passed by the district council of Khasi Hills and Jainte Hills Autonomous District Council seriously. When the bill was passed in May, 30th of May, the bill of Khasi Hills Autonomous District Council was passed. The previous night, this government has issued an ordinance. This is the first step that the Rangbah Shnong were annoyed that the government is not serious and wants to have a conflicts of interest between the government and the district council. Later on, the government also proposed to have its own bill to empower the traditional institutions, and we are united, all the traditional institutions are united in opposing any bill that will empower the traditional institutions, and we want that the district council should stay and should stay forever. The government has withdrawn the bill unofficially, but I think in the assembly, the new bill has been laid in the table of the House. We have seen in the press report that the Honorable Chief Minister is issued a statement that the Rangbah Shnong, the office bearers of the Rangbah Shnong, will be facilitated along with the government to go to the Home Ministry for getting clearance of the two bills which the governor has sent to the Ministry of Home Affairs and force the Ministry of Home Affairs to give their assent to this bill. We are traditional institutions. We are under the district councils, along with the same ship, along with the HIMA. We are under the district council. We have faith on the district council. We request the state government to respect the district council. Unfortunately, because of the para 12A of the 6th schedule, the government is taking due advantage of that para 12A. We would like to suggest that maybe you can send or you can pass a resolution or you can decide that certain subjects should be fully with the state government and certain subjects should be fully with the district council.
We do not seek recognition by our designation, Mr. ABC, Rangbah Shnong of so and so, but we seek recognition for our institutions. Since our institutions are there since time immemorial, back in 1890, when the Britishers landed up here, our institutions are already there. So at all costs, these institutions has to be preserved. Rangbah Shnong will come and go. We are there for 3 years, maybe for 5 years. But our institutions, these are the bane of the society, where we preserve the customs and the traditions and the heritage generations after generations. So our traditions, our customs should be maintained at all costs. And what I feel is that through the introduction of Village Administration Bill, this will solve all problems once for all. It will be a lasting solution. No doubt there could be certain flaws, certain loopholes, but there are always scope for amendments. Even the Constitution of India isn't so rigid. It has been amended for many times. Why not our VAB and the JT Hills bills as well?
1 month, I think, is probably more than enough. Perhaps, because we have been waiting for so long, and because of the insincerity of the government right from the beginning to pursue the passage of this bill. If you allow me to say further that it took just 1 week for this government to pass the amendment bill for disqualification of MLAs holding 2 posts. 1 week only it took. Why? The government was serious about it, pressurized the governor. The governor quickly gave his assent to the bill, in spite that the issue and the matter is sub judice. And 1 month time, why we are giving from our side also, we feel that this is the time of harvesting. The farmers are collecting their paddy, number 1. Number 2, the school children, university, they are having examination during the month of November. So by first week, the exam will be over. I hope that we will get a result by that time. Thank you.
In the overall commitment level of this government, there has been no intent to delay the passage of VAB from the very beginning. This is reflected in that short note which we have circulated, because as the bill was examined, since there were certain provisions which came into conflict with some of the laws passed by the Parliament and the state legislature, therefore, this considered view after the matter was examined, after the bill was examined by the DCA and the legal department, it was communicated to the KHATC. Even after that, number of discussions were made with them, because the response from them were not coming forthright. And subsequently, at my level, I had a meeting with the CM and the delegates of the KHATC. Subsequently, a meeting was convened by the DCA minister, represented by legal department and DCA department from the side of the government, and the CM and other legal team and the officers from KHATC across the table, so that there can be complete understanding about the bill as to what are those few points which were required to be amended, so that we don't land up in any kind of situation where, because of these laws coming into conflict with laws passed by the Parliament, there will be any reason for governor to delay the assent. This was done. Subsequently, they agreed. The bill was referred back to KHATC. They convened a special session. With a corrigendum, they actually amended the relevant provisions, and after approval, they sent it back to the state government. But one or two clauses which still came into conflict with the laws passed by the parliament were still there, which were agreed by KHADC for amendment at that level during our initial discussion. But in spite of that, since we wanted to live with our commitment that the moment you do so, fulfill these requirements, we will send it, refer it to the Honorable Governor for his assessment. And we did so. But office of the Honorable Governor is itself a constitutional institution, and they have taken a considered view after the examination of the bill. He felt it appropriate under his own considered prerogative to send it to the MHA. This is the background. So there is no intent to delay this bill. Rather, we say that unless these are taken care of, we will have a problem. Because constitutional provisions and how a law is passed is known to all of us. We are lawmakers, they are also lawmakers. Therefore, I would like to reiterate that we had the commitment from the very beginning to ensure that the passage of the bill is at no point delayed from our side. Similarly, we had an engagement with JHATC, and they amended all the provisions which were coming into conflict. All. And after it was brought back to the state government, we recommended it for the assent, like we did it for KHATC bill, BAB. And there was only after some representations were received apparently by the Honorable Governor in respect to one very provision. He sought for clarification and views of the state government. We quickly examined it. We took the views of the legal department as per the provision of the Constitution, and our considered view has been appropriately articulated, and we are sending that views to Honorable Governor. So this is the background. So from the very beginning, in the absence of this complete act which was proposed by KHADC and JHADC coming into effect, I received number of representations from the political parties as well, who suggested that the state government must come up with some interim measure. And we convened a meeting, and you people were also pleased to respond to my invitation, and we did have a meeting. And we discussed whether there is a need for the state government to come up with any legislative measure to further strengthen the traditional bodies. And it was after a long day's deliberation that suggestions came. I will recollect that our Sunjuki president himself, in fact, ultimately proposed a senior man, Dr. Didi Lapang, be proposed as the chairman to lead that committee, which will examine the pros and cons of this overall perceived need, and ultimately decide whether there will be a need for the state government to come up with a law or not. So after this exercise, when we have been told that, okay, there is a feeling that state government should not at all do any exercise to come up with any law in respect of traditional institutions, I immediately disbanded this committee, and we have denotified this. These are all response based on your sentiments. So the government is duty bound to understand and appreciate the sentiments and respond appropriately, and we are doing so. But the constitutional provision requires the government to place the ordinance whenever the assembly starts. So, as per the provision of the Constitution, the ordinance was laid on the table of the House. It's not a bill, it's an ordinance. But as per the Constitution, if we want to come up with a bill to regularize the ordinance, then we will have to come up with a regular bill to replace the ordinance, which we did not do as per our commitment. So that is where we demonstrated our commitment, and we have not gone beyond that. So there will be no reason for having any more apprehension that the state government is still continuing to explore the possibilities of even proposing a bill. Forget about making a law, but even proposing. So we have disbanded. So I hope through you we'll be able to communicate to all our friends across the state so that this particular perception can be dispelled and there'll be no reason for having this apprehension any further. And as far as our responsibility that we have all shared is concerned, we assume upon ourselves the responsibility of pursuing this issue. To be able to convince the governor in view of no clauses within the proposed bill which comes into conflict with any law, whether passed by state legislature or by parliament. So this is the status and this is our commitment. We will try to see that within 1 month we can actually prevail upon both the governor and MHA so that our VAB, which is passed by the KHADC, also ultimately notified as act. We will do that. We will try our best. But as I have said, we will keep you posted. And what is necessary from our side, we commit ourselves to engage in that responsibility.
Within a month. Because if it is not so, maybe we will have more agitations which will be of a larger scale. See the light of the day in 1 month's time.
I'll have to say something. See, what is the commitment? The commitment is that the state government will do all that is necessary. All that is necessary. But please understand the fact that after that, what will be the response from the office of the Honorable Governor, which itself is a constitutional institution. Now, whether the governor will send back the bill with some suggestions for appropriate amendment, that is what we'll have to be prepared for, meaning we will have to be prepared for both ways. Whether the Honorable Governor assents to the proposed bill in its form, or whether the Honorable Governor sends back the bill with his considered view and suggestions for the government to communicate further to the KHADC for necessary amendment to take care of those provisions within the proposed bill which, as per the legal and constitutional interpretation, may come into conflict with the constitutional provision or any law passed by the Honorable Parliament of the state. So we will have to also keep that provision, we will have to look at. But the commitment level of the government to pursue it aggressively, to get the suggestions and views on time, will also be important. Whether it comes back with the complete assent in its present form or come with suggestion. So let us be very clear on that, so that there will be no room, no space for any kind of, again, misunderstanding as we proceed further and engage further.
For us, village administration bill is there. So, since we have given time to the government to complete all the formalities which are necessary for the office of the governor to give an assent, I hope whatever you have said just now, to approach the matter in a very aggressive manner. We have confidence on you. We have elected you. Therefore, it is your responsibility, I think, to see that these bills got the assent of the governor. Falling under the jurisdiction of the Autonomous District Council. After this order has been issued with regard to extension of the territory of Muda beyond municipal, there were a lot of concern among the people, particularly people who are living in the surrounding villages of Greater Shnong. The Senjuk Kinongsen Shnong Kabri Nyautrep is deadly opposed to this extension of Muda beyond the municipality, because we feel, number one, is that The areas beyond municipality is under the scheduled area. The 1973 Act of the District Council has not been amended yet. Yes, the Town and Country Planning of 1973 has not been amended yet. So you are doing against the wishes of the people. And it is illegal also. Number two, I would just like to say one point. Few weeks back, there was an attempt from one area with his local representative to agitate on this issue. Based on his understanding with the Chief Minister, this area has suddenly been excluded. We want to know what is the reason. Originally, the area the MODA wants to include is 174 square kilometers. You have reduced it by 50,000 square kilometers in that particular area to 124, from 174 to 124 square kilometers. So just because on the basis of agitation of one area and the local representative, the government has come down and say, okay, we will not include your area. So we would like to know the justification for that deduction of that area.
That MUDA was constituted and a proposal was made by the concerned department to apply the building bylaws in that 174 square kilometer. Subsequently, we received representations from various corners, including political parties, also the representatives, also the MDCs. And we further examined it. We had a meeting also with some of the elected representatives, also political parties. Then it was taken as a considered view that the areas which fall under, as per the 2011 census, in urban centers may only be brought under these existing building bylaws. This was also in the context of the suo motu interventions of the Honorable High Court, which have identified few of the buildings which went beyond the municipality area. Therefore, to prospectively engage in regulating construction of all the buildings within the urban centers, which included the new urban centers as per the notification, as per the 2011 census. New urban centers were included as per the census. And based on that, that area was revised. Subsequent to that, we had an internal meeting within the government, and it was felt that for all other areas outside the municipality, we should have a particular agency, an authority from the side of the government, who should be tasked to attend to these various, very important responsibility of helping people to get all the necessary assistance to ensure that all the structures that we build for our habitation, for houses, are in sync with safety regulation. This was processed at the level of urban department. They have said that as per the suggestion of the Honorable Chief Minister, a view may be taken as to who should be the nodal department, which should be the government nodal department, which should be assigned with this task. The government may, by invoking the Section 35 of the Meghalaya Interpretation and General Clauses Act 1972, keep the implementation of these provisions of building bylaws in abeyance in all other areas except in municipal areas. So that is the view which has been prepared for me for the consideration, and I am very happy to share with you to explore the possibilities, whether there is a legal mandate for government to say that, okay, this act we don't want to implement, so that there will be no scope for honorable judiciary also to intervene. We'll have to look at all the legal and any legal fallout, any scope for any interpretation by any authorities, constitutional authorities. We have asked for the whole record as to how this whole operational part in respect of the MUDA and the building bylaws and their application beyond municipal areas have come into effect is based on those official record and the contention of the department that engagement with the autonomous district councils have been done. The proceedings is usually based on who have attended the meetings and all, which reflected that the district council was duly represented by the chief executive members of the then district council, the then CMs of the district councils. So those are available records based on which we said, okay, at that point of time, because we are talking about something which has happened around 20 years or some years back in the late 80s and early 90s. Therefore, since these whole notifications have come, and since there are certain minutes of the meeting which reflected who were present in those committees and subsequent decisions were as an offshoot of those exercises, we felt that there has been a due consultation.
I would request at this point of time that these concerned departments should be instructed and directed immediately, with immediate effect.
It's to be understood that this whole direction will go to all concerned, so that every department who are no longer required to ask for NOC from MUDA shall not be required. So this goes as instruction and direction and notification to all concerned. So this has been based on our due diligence, and then we have been giving patient hearing for as many as delegates who have sought, audience with me at my level, at the level of the minister. We have responded positively because the government of the day is required to actually look at what exactly is the sentiment of the people and whether government is capable of responding to that sentiment. I think we have done it effectively, demonstrated it. So I think as far as this issue is concerned, the government has taken appropriate decision. So the certificates which is to be accepted or not. So I have suggested that these need to be further examined with all of you, along with my departments, to understand the actual legal interpretation of this particular. I have had my own studies. I have gone through the details of the Principal Act 1959, and there was some amendment. So maybe Chief Secretary can further elaborate on this.
Has always been respectful of the abilities of the Rangbah Shnongs and has had confidence in the certification which the Rangbah Shnongs have been given. And therefore, the state government has sought different ways, as for example the ordinance which was planned earlier also, to enable the Rangbah Shnongs to continue with this responsibility which they have been exercising over a long period. Now, the district council had, by the notification of 20th August 2015, provided certain points here to cover this issue. And these points have been covered under Rule 5 of the notification of 20th August 2015 under the heading of the Khasi Hills Autonomous District, bracket appointment and succession of chiefs, headmen, close bracket, rules 2015. And the intention obviously from here is to ensure that the Rangbah Shnongs have the power to exercise this responsibility. We understand that very well. However, we must also look at the legal matters in this. It is important that every act or rule also stands legal scrutiny. It must be legally correct. So this notification issued by the District Council has been issued under Section 21 of the United Khasi Jantia Hills Autonomous District Appointment of Successions of Chiefs and Headmen Act 1959. So whatever power being reflected under these rules is under Section 21. Now if you look at Section 21 of the Act of 1979, Section 21 says, yes sir, 59. Of the Act of 1959, Section 21 says this, under the heading Power to Make Rules. Subject to the approval of the District Council, the Executive Committee may make rules for carrying out the purposes of this Act. Therefore, the Executive Committee has brought out these rules. But since the section says it is for the purposes of carrying out this Act, it therefore has to come and to fulfill the purposes of this Act. The purposes of the Act of 1959 is for the succession, it's for the appointment, it's for the election, it's for looking at who is eligible for being elected or for being appointed as chiefs or headmen. And if you go through all the Act, you will find here the various parts of the Act, sections of the Act, which speak about this purpose. The Act, however, does not speak about the powers or the functions really of the Rangbah Shnong outside the functions which are related to the appointment and election. Since therefore the Act specifically talks about the appointment of headmen or Rangbah Shnongs or chiefs, the rules therefore have to stick to the Act. It is for the purposes of this Act. Therefore, the rule which has been brought out here, enabling the Rangbah Shnongs to issue certificates, have nothing to do with the appointment or the election or succession of chiefs and Rangbah Shnongs. It is not relevant to the purposes of this Act and would therefore not stand legal scrutiny. Because of that matter, the state government is therefore not in a position to make any notifications under this rule which would put us into an embarrassing situation where we accept a rule which has been made outside the provisions of that specific Act. Because of this problem, it is necessary therefore that we go back. This matter has to go back and has to be corrected so that we will find an appropriate law under which the headmen, the Rangbah Shnong, the chiefs can issue the various certificates which are needed by the people, not only by the government, they are needed by the public for the furtherance of the delivery, in fact, of the various government programs. So we have come to this difficulty now, and we put this forth to the Rangbah Shnongs, to the Sinju, also to consider how we shall go about to correct this according to the Constitution and according to the law.